It's been over 6 months now since I bought the Canon 6D Mark II, and I think it's about time that I did my experience video on it. Hello, my name is Sam, and welcome to my 6D Mark II experience. Okay, so as I said, I have used the camera now for over 6 months, and I've used it in a plethora of different locations and scenarios, from very low lit shots in venues and whatnot to bright outdoors in snowy mountains and all sorts of places. Really testing the camera to its limits and really seeing what its strengths and weaknesses are. The camera I had before this camera was the 700D. That was an APS-C sized sensor, and this new one is about 26.2 megapixels. It's a full frame sensor in comparison to the 18 megapixels on the 700D, which was a APS-C sized sensor, and there's a massive difference there. If you can blow up prints to massive sizes, up to A1 really, I'd say, and it still comes out very well. So if you're looking to do print work, right off the bat, this is a pretty good solid option. At the heart of the camera is a very new Digic 7 processor, so you get some very clean images on this camera. I'm happy to push the ISO up to 4000 for very clean results, and you do start to introduce a bit of noise when you push it up to ISO 5000, but I do put it up to 5000, even 6400 on a push, and the results I get are still pretty good, and you can clean them up quite nicely in software. You do, of course, have the extended ISO range to 102,000, something like that. And I don't know why you'd want to do that, but the option's there. Now, I use this camera mainly in dark locations, being venues. I do a lot of gig photography, and for that I require a fast shutter speed, but yet it's in a very dark location, so having that good ISO performance is an absolute must. Now, before buying this camera, I was really torn between the decision of going for the 6D Mark II or perhaps looking at getting a 5D Mark III, something along those lines. And what really sold the fact to me, I think in the end, was one of the main factors was actually the flippy out screen. Now, I've gotten used to using the flippy out screen on the 700D, and it makes the world of difference, especially in the sort of locations and scenarios that I'm shooting in. And that means that if I want to get a low angle shot, or more specifically high angle shots, or if I'm leaning out from a ladder to try and get an angle which I wouldn't otherwise be able to get, I can't look through that viewfinder. I need to look in on the live view on the display. Now, of course, if I'm reaching all the way out and I can't get a good angle for looking at the side of that display, I really want to be able to flip that out and point it towards me. That means I can really use it in any orientation, and it just opens up a whole world of different angles for me in the scenarios that I'm shooting in. So overall, the effect is that I don't have to do the spray and pray method, which you'd have to do with a lot of other cameras. I can get the shot first time pretty much and get a whole load of successful takes really, and gives me a lot more options to pick some good ones in editing afterwards. The autofocus is very good on this camera. It does a good job at picking out subjects even in very dark conditions. However, the autofocus on the LCD, or if you have it on the live view setting, is definitely not quite as good. It's definitely using a slightly different method in order to get that pinpoint focus, and it does tend to hunt a bit more. And I have lost or missed some shots because of it, annoyingly. Now, one of the features that I absolutely love about this camera over the 700D is the Bluetooth functionality, so I can pair it with the camera control app on my phone. Now, say if the camera's mounted up in a higher position that I can't really reach, or if I'm doing, say, pictures even of myself, I really want to be able to focus on that composition without me having to be behind that camera, and that I can view it on a viewfinder, technically, from another location on my phone. Now, although the experience is somewhat laggy in a lot of cases, it's not meant to be a proper live view display. It's really just to give you a reference as to what your composition is, and for that it's absolutely wonderful. And I've had a whirl of a time using it, and I'll probably have to play around spraying and praying, so to speak, in order to get some of the composition that I've been able to get because of it. So that's a really good feature that I'm happy that this camera has. Now, being the first full frame sensor that I've actually owned and really properly used, there are some things to get used to, that's for sure. Now, one of the main things really is the increased depth of field that you get from the equivalent focal lengths that you would have compared to an APS-C sized sensor. And for me, that was in most cases very nice, especially in the long distance photography. That's actually wonderful. It helps just separate the subject from that background even more. However, when it comes to doing close-up macro type photography, especially if you're going to be using slightly longer lenses for it, the effect can be a little bit too much, and therefore I actually have to stop down in order to counteract that, which is a shame, because you're then really not getting the benefit of high quality fast lenses, which of course, if you paired that with an APS-C size sensor, or just a sensor that's smaller than a full frame, then you wouldn't have to worry about that too much, and you'd actually get slightly better low light performance really from those fast lenses and on that crop frame camera. That's if you're doing close-up macro type photography. So for that kind of photography, I probably wouldn't recommend a full frame camera, just because of that over-the-top depth of field that you get. So I wouldn't recommend it for that. But for most other things, it's actually very, very good. Now, of course, this camera is used a lot for video as well, especially in the vlogging world because of that flippy out display. It supports 1920 by 1080 at 50 or 60 frames a second, that being if you're in PAL or in America. Now, the footage that comes out is very, very nice. The only thing is that it's all Rec 709, and you can't change that to C-Log or any kind of Canon log, which I'd really like. The only way you could do that really is if you installed Magic Lantern, which of course you do at your own risk. It does void the warranty, of course, on your camera if you do that. But out the box, it doesn't support that, and it's great for most use case scenarios, especially vlogging. But if you want to pair it with, say, a cinema camera like a C100 or something like that, and you want to try and get a bit more dynamic range out the camera, then it's not great for that. But for the average use case for your vlogs and whatnot, and probably for most YouTube videos really, it's great for that. It's great for that. Overall, I'd say I'm very, very happy with the upgrade I've done to the 60 Mark II. It's a world of difference, especially in the ISO performance, which is the main thing for me. It's absolutely wonderful, and I'll keep using it for as long as I have it, which is going to be quite a bit longer. I don't need anything more from it really. It's a great platform, and if you're looking to move up to a full frame camera from an APS-C side camera, I'd say the 60 Mark II is definitely a worthy option for you to move to. So yeah, thanks very much. My name is Sam, and I'll see you in the next episode.